in the middle of one of the driest places on Earth, something impossible is happening.
Okay, let's just dive right in. What you're looking at is a pretty startling image from space. I mean, where there used to be nothing but dry, empty desert, there's now this huge new body of water. And no, it's not a mirage, it's a real massive engineering project, which of course brings up a pretty huge question. Why on earth would you build a lake in the middle of the Sahara?
So, if you ask the Egyptian authorities, the official story is, well, it's all perfectly normal. They'll tell you it's just a standard procedure. They open the Tashka spillway to handle the Nile's seasonal floods. It's just a way to manage overflow from the Aswan High Dam, kind of like move along, nothing to see here, folks. But here's the thing. The sheer scale of what they're doing, it just doesn't add up. We're talking about deepening channels, widening entrances, beefing up dikes. This is way beyond just managing a little seasonal flood. This looks like they're getting ready for an absolute deluge. So you have to ask yourself, what is Egypt really preparing for?
Okay, to really get what's going on, we've got to travel hundreds of miles upstream. Because the real threat here, it's not about seasonal rain. No, it's about a colossal structure that has completely rewritten the rules for the entire region.
And this is it, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or the GERD as it's known. Now for Ethiopia, this thing is a symbol of hope, a promise of development, of electricity for millions of people. But if you're Egypt looking down the stream, it's an existential threat to your very lifeline.
And listen, that is not an exaggeration. One geologist, Dr. Abbas Shiraki, literally called it a hydraulic time bomb. See, Egypt's worst nightmare isn't just that Ethiopia might turn down the tap. It's that this massive dam could catastrophically fail. Imagine a devastating wave just roaring down the Nile. It would threaten Sudan, and it could even take out Egypt's own Aswan High Dam. And this right here, this is the heart of the whole issue. A whopping 85% of the water that makes it to Egypt comes from the Blue Nile, which starts in Ethiopia. What does that mean? It means Ethiopia basically has its hand on the main faucet for Egypt's entire water supply.
So here's the critical takeaway. After years and years of talks, negotiations, mediations, they've hit a total dead end. Diplomacy has been officially declared dead. So what happens then? Egypt has had to shift its entire strategy away from the negotiating table and onto massive construction sites. It seems like when words fail, concrete and steel start doing the talking.
All right, so with its back against the wall, facing a threat to its very survival, Egypt's response has been, well, nothing short of pharaonic. I mean that literally. The country has launched these incredible mega projects on a scale we haven't seen in thousands of years. The goal? Secure its water and food future by any means necessary.
A perfect example of this is the new Delta project. It's this absolutely incredible plan to literally create new life in the desert. Think about this. It's a gigantic water recycling system. First, they collect agricultural runoff. Then, they transport that water over 100 kilometers. After that, it gets purified in one of the biggest treatment plants on the planet. And the final step? They use all that water to irrigate over 2 million fidans of brand new farmland. That's almost 2 million acres. And the price tag for just this one project, the new Delta? We're talking somewhere around $10 billion. That number is just staggering. And it really shows you how vital they think this investment is. For them, it's a cost they believe they absolutely cannot afford not to pay.
But wait, there's more. They're not just recycling water. Egypt is also drilling deep, deep down beneath the southern desert sands. They're tapping into this kind of hidden treasure, these vast ancient aquifers. It's a finite supply of water that's been buried for thousands of years, and they're literally trying to pull a new future right out from under the Sahara.
And just get a load of the numbers on this one project, Sanabal Sonu. Their goal is to reclaim a chunk of desert, bigger than New York City. To do it, they're using 500-ton drill pieces. They've got hundreds of engineers working 24/7, and it's all one massive, coordinated effort with over 160 different Egyptian companies. This is, for all intents and purposes, a full-scale national mobilization. So you gotta wonder, right? Why this massive, almost desperate effort? Why spend billions and billions of dollars to build rivers and make the desert green? Well, it all comes down to one simple, unchangeable fact. A reality that has defined Egypt for, 5,000 years. Everything about Egypt, its entire existence, is tied to the Nile. Think about this.
An incredible 97% of the country's fresh water comes from this one single river. So it's not just a river for them. It's the nation's only lifeline, period. And that lifeline is being squeezed hard from two different directions. First, you've got a booming population, on track to hit 160 million by 2050. But, and this is a big but, all those people are crammed onto a tiny sliver of land because 96% of the country is just desert. So you've got more people, less space, and only one source of water. It's a real pressure cooker.
And that really explains why President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is so direct about this. For Egypt, this isn't just about politics, it's not just about economics. When he says their share of the Nile's water is a matter of life, he means it. And that, in their eyes, is completely non-negotiable.
You know, this high-stakes game being played over water, it's not just happening in Egypt. What we're seeing on the Nile is really a preview of a new kind of conflict that's starting to pop up all over the world. A conflict that's fought not with soldiers and tanks, but with concrete, dams, and canals.
Let's take a look at another example. If we compare the Nile situation to what's happening with the Amu Darya River in Central Asia, the pattern is, well, it's disturbingly similar. You've got Afghanistan building the new Kush-Tepe Canal, which is a huge threat to the water supply for Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan downstream. But here's the scary difference. On the Amu Darya, there are no water-sharing treaties. None. And this is all happening in a region that's already seen one of the worst ecological disasters in human history with the destruction of the Aral Sea. So all of this leaves us with a really big, critical question. As our world gets hotter and as water gets more scarce, more and more nations are turning to these pharaoh-like engineering projects to try and secure their futures. But are these mega projects the ultimate solution for survival, or are we just pouring the concrete foundations for the water wars of tomorrow? How we answer that question might just define the rest of the 21st century.